All right, let's get straight to it. This isn't just another recap. This is a strategic briefing designed to give you an edge. In today's legal landscape, where the pressure is always on, having a solid plan isn't just nice. It's what separates those who just get by from those who truly command their careers. So, the entire strategy we're breaking down today is built on four fundamental pillars: your wealth, your license, your liability, and your focus. Getting how these four things work together, well, that's the real game changer. Let's see how they all connect. Okay, so here's our roadmap. First, we're going to tackle the foundational mindset shift you have to make. Then, we'll get into the hard tactics for your wealth and your license. And we'll wrap it all up with a clear, no-nonsense action plan you can use right away. First things first. Before we even touch on tactics, we have to talk psychology. The most critical shift you can make is moving from thinking of yourself as a cost center, always worried about expenses, to a profit center, where your focus is squarely on the value you create. And this really hits home, doesn't it? I mean, why is this mindset so important? Because massive debt chains you down. It makes you think twice about taking smart risks, like launching your own firm, walking away from a toxic job, or even pivoting your career. It's why so many argue that financial freedom isn't a luxury. It's the bedrock of professional sovereignty. And here you can see the two paths laid out, plain and simple. The cost center mindset, it's reactive. You're always on defense, just trying to cover your bases. But the profit center mindset, that's proactive. It's about hunting for opportunities and creating growth. The big idea here is that your outlook literally dictates your destination. So, you've got the mindset. Great. Now, how do we turn that into action? Let's talk about the first pillar, wealth. We're going to dive into a specific strategy for dismantling what is, for many, the single biggest wall standing between them and true freedom: debt. Let's just put it on the table, the elephant in the room. A number like this can feel absolutely crushing. I get it. But the whole point of the strategy we're about to unpack is to stop seeing this as a life sentence and start seeing it for what it is, a math problem. And every math problem has a solution. One of the biggest mistakes people make is treating all debt the same. They'll throw extra money at their loans, kind of spreading it out evenly. But that's a massive, costly error, because not all debt is created equal. Some of it is way more toxic than the rest. And this brings us to a really smart strategy. Some call it the selective amortization method. It's a three-step surgical strike. First, you pinpoint your highest interest loans, what we're calling apex interest loans. These are usually your private loans, your Grad Plus loans. Second, you funnel every spare dollar you have to crushing the principal on those loans specifically. And third, you just maintain the minimums on your lower interest federal loans, maybe on an income-driven plan. It's about being precise, not just throwing money at the wall. Now, here's the next key move in the playbook. It's a trigger point called the sovereign threshold. The idea is simple. Once your annual salary hits 1.5 times your total debt, a window of opportunity opens. That's your signal. That's the optimal moment to get aggressive and look at refinancing into a private loan with a much shorter term, like 5 years, to just wipe it out. And the impact here is just huge. We're not just talking about shuffling numbers around. By making that move at precisely the right time, you can literally save tens of thousands of dollars in interest. That's capital that goes back into your pocket for your future, not the bank's. You're liberating your future wealth. Okay, with your wealth strategy in motion, it's time to secure your ultimate asset, your license to practice. Because make no mistake, in 2026, the gatekeeper to this profession is changing in a fundamental way. Let me be crystal clear. The July 2026 exam marks the absolute end of an era. The old way of doing things, flashcards, cramming, rote learning, it's over. It's dead. This new exam couldn't care less about what you can remember. It only cares about what you can do. So, what does this new exam actually test? It's all about practical lawyering skills. It's going to throw integrated tasks at you, asking you to research a memo, interview a client, or negotiate a settlement right there in the exam. It's literally testing if you can do the job of a first-year associate right out of the gate. So how in the world do you prepare for that? Well, the old 2-month summer cram session is obsolete. You need a longer runway, something more like this 180-day schedule. The whole philosophy here is deep, repeated practice over time. You start 6 months out, build your foundation, move into practice tasks, and then spend the final stretch running full simulations. It's about training, not memorizing. And this quote just nails it. This is the new philosophy in a nutshell. The people who fail this new exam will be the ones who showed up with memorized outlines. The people who pass will be the ones who truly understood they were training for the actual job of being a lawyer. And, there's a reason the bar is making this shift. It's because the market has already shifted. Clients and firms, they don't need a walking encyclopedia anymore. They don't need a static library. They need a dynamic processor, someone who can think, execute, and solve complex problems in real time. Okay, we've covered a ton of ground. Mindset, wealth, your license. Let's pull it all together and boil it down to a clear, simple strategy you can put into motion right now. At the end of the day, it comes down to a two-pronged attack. First, on the wealth front, go analyze your loan portfolio right now and see if selective amortization is the right move for you. Second, for your license, if that NextGen bar is in your future, start mapping out a longer, skills-based training schedule today. These are the two immediate moves that put you on the path to professional sovereignty. So there it is. The strategy is on the table. The real question is, what are you going to do with it? Are you going to let circumstance dictate your career, or are you going to take control? The choice between being a debtor and becoming a mogul, well, that's up to you.
Welcome back. The future of elite legal practice isn't some far-off concept anymore. It's here. And today, we're getting into the nitty-gritty, the high-stakes reality of law in 2026, focusing on that crucial link between technology and deep human focus. So let's just kick things off with the single most critical question on every top lawyer's mind right now. Because when that algorithm messes up, when it hallucinates a case that doesn't exist, the fallout doesn't land in Silicon Valley. No, it lands squarely on your desk. So here's our game plan. We'll start by unpacking the new world of AI liability. Then we'll get into the ethical mandate that creates. After that, we'll introduce the cognitive superpower you need to master it all and a practical, step-by-step way to do it. And finally, we'll pull it all together into what we call the sovereign synthesis. All right, let's dive right in. The ground has completely shifted under our feet. We are now in an era of algorithmic justice, and you have to understand, the old rules of risk just don't apply anymore. You know, for years, software companies could just hide behind Section 230, basically saying, hey, it's just a tool. Well, that's over. The landmark cases of 2025 have completely shattered that shield, creating a direct line of accountability right to you, the legal professional. And this is the key legal idea that courts are using: non-delegable duty. It's simple, really. It means you cannot outsource your professional judgment to a piece of software. If your AI tool makes up a case and you file it, the liability doesn't stop with the software company. It stops hard at your desk. You own it. And this right here, it just lays it out perfectly. You can see the new flow of responsibility. Sure, the data might come from a software company, but that chain of liability, it now ends with this intense, bright spotlight right on the lawyer who signs the brief. So the bottom line is you have to adapt. And that means building two non-negotiable layers of protection. First, you need a rigorous human-in-the-loop protocol. You have to become your own auditor. And second, you have to check your malpractice insurance for a specific AI rider. If you don't have one, you are flying completely blind. Now let's push this a bit further into the ethical side of things, because this new risk actually creates a fascinating new professional duty. Just look at this contrast. It's really stark. If an AI can scan millions of documents and find that one golden precedent in 3 seconds, is it even malpractice to bill a client for 10 hours of your team doing it manually? You have to ask yourself, are you actually violating your fiduciary duty by not using these incredibly powerful and, yes, risky tools? And this really is the bottom line, isn't it? The best firms moving forward won't just be the ones with the flashiest AI. They'll be the ones with the absolute best, most robust, human-led oversight. Your prompts, your process, your verification, that is the new gold standard. Okay, so this level of intense oversight demands an equally intense level of focus. In a world just full of AI-generated noise and constant pings, your ability to truly concentrate has become your single greatest asset. It's a genuine cognitive superpower. And this is the silent killer of your most valuable work. It's called attention residue. Every single time you switch from drafting a complex brief to checking a quick email, you're leaving a piece of your focus behind. That cognitive drag, it's what's destroying your efficiency and your ability to think strategically at an elite level. And here's the cold, hard number: 23 minutes. That's how long it takes, on average, for your brain to get back to a state of deep focus after just one tiny interruption, one notification. Think about that.
Now multiply it by how many times you're interrupted a day. The cost is absolutely staggering.
So, if distraction is the disease, what's the cure? How do we systematically build and defend this superpower? Well, the answer is a structured, disciplined, and honestly, pretty simple approach.
Here it is, the 4-step playbook. It starts the night before, when you decide the one big thing you need to accomplish. Then, at 8 a.m., you don't waste time figuring out what to do, you just execute. You enter the vault, a 3-hour block of time with zero connectivity. No email, no phone, nothing. The result? By 11 a.m., you've produced more high-value work than your distracted colleagues will manage all day. It's not about working harder, it's about working deeper.
Okay, so now let's bring it all home. Let's connect these two huge ideas, the rigorous oversight of AI and the disciplined focus of deep work, into one powerful, unified strategy.
These are the core pillars that create the foundation of a modern, elite legal career. It's about mastering that algorithmic liability, upholding the new ethical mandate that comes with AI, and doing it all with an unbreakable discipline of deep work. It all works together. And here's the core equation for success in 2026. You leverage technology, the AI, but you govern it with your biology, your very human, very powerful ability for deep, uninterrupted concentration. AI is the tool, deep work is how you achieve mastery. And together, they form your sovereign shield against the risks and chaos of the modern world.
Ultimately, this isn't just a destination, it's a daily process. A process of building a career that's not just profitable, but resilient and deeply fulfilling. The question isn't if the profession will change anymore. The only question left is whether you're prepared to change with it.